Dear Diary, this is another insane story about one of my 28-ish arrests. This might be like around number 9, I think. I'm not going to count it up right now. Sorry. It was around 1999, and I had just destroyed and humiliated Rudolph Giuliani, super Nazi, the worst politician in U.S. history, until that flying turd Mike Bloomberg came along. And, so I had just humiliated him in the press. Jury not only cleared me of the charges of harassing him and his staff, the jury was quoted in the papers calling me a hero, calling me very nice, calling me very intelligent, and very honest. That's not what the jury was supposed to say. They were supposed to convict me. The DA and the judges and everybody worked hard to cheat my convictions, but the jury said, actually that's not true. That was the last time I had an honest judge, because he was from upstate New York, a civil court judge elected who was sitting in to help some of the New York City caseload. In other words, he didn't owe his job to the mayor. All the other judges you're in front of here in New York City are judges appointed by the mayor who owe their pensions to the mayor. If they piss off the mayor, they lose their pension. I mean, it's craziness. It's not remotely legal. Hey, welcome to America. So I was lucky that I had that judge. And the jury called me great, awesome. One of the jurors gave me his address and said, "Mail me, please, can you mail me some of those Giuliani posters and cartoons you do? Those things are fucking hilarious." And it's amazing that they spent millions of dollars to try and railroad me over and over and over again. Remember, I even got special prosecutors for all my arrests. Misdemeanor arrests, I got special prosecutors. That should have set off some alarms. It didn't, because people are not that smart. So... And then I called him the day after the jury cleared me in the New York Times, and everybody did big pieces on it. And the mayor attacked me on live radio. And he said things like, "Get off the phone, you crazy nut. Get off the phone, you crazy nut." And then he compared the jury to the OJ jury. What a fucking asshole. So now I was free. The restraining orders of the last 2.5 years had been lifted. Now that was the real purpose of having me arrested. You get orders of protection during an election year, so I can't go to public events that he's at and humiliate him. I can't go to city council hearings and testify. I couldn't even call the WABC radio show and destroy him in front of millions of listeners, which is what I was most notorious for at the time. I would sneak on his live radio show using fake voices, fake names, and pro-Giuliani questions. I'd get on live very quickly. And then there was no delay, and I would humiliate him in front of millions of listeners. And then he would go bonkers. It's pretty awesome. Somebody should look all that up and compile it. I don't have the fucking time. I recorded most of it. But there's also video of a lot of it. The city has it, public property. So anyhow, dear listener, I then decided, all right, now there's no more restraining order. I can go to City Hall. I can do some more shit to bring down this fucking super Nazi. He only had a couple years left, but I had this newfound freedom after 2.5 years of having my hands tied behind my back. And one of the zillion things the mayor had been hammered for was his blocking off access to the steps of City Hall. There's a little plaza in front of City Hall here in New York City, and that's where people traditionally would protest. You want to say something about the mayor fucking up or doing a shitty job as mayor, you would go there with your signs, you'd be on the steps, public property, everything's cool. Been done for 150 years. Giuliani didn't like protesters because he was a little super Nazi. And so he would try all kinds of different tricks and arrest protesters and arrest critics and things like that and do all kinds of dirty tricks. And it eventually got to federal courts, and he would consistently lose. His argument of why they couldn't allow the public to be on public property was stupid. And he tried using the terrorism tip. That's one reason why they loved 9/11 so much. This is a couple years before 9/11. And he would always try to say, terrorists. The irony is, after he put in all of his fake security measures, and they spent hundreds of millions of tax dollars on bogus security measures just for City Hall, while they neglected the World Trade Center a couple blocks away. They knew the terrorists had said they were coming back for Twin Towers in 93. Remember, after the first bombing? They said, "We'll come back." we will destroy those buildings. So Rudy Giuliani said, well, I don't know where they're going to strike. He moved the Emergency Management Center, spent tens of millions of our tax dollars, spent moving it from one police plaza, state-of-the-art, into 7 World Trade Center. That was a real estate scam. The man who got the money just happened to be Rudy's largest campaign contributor, Larry Silverstein. It's all about the money, people. It's always about the money. And Rudy had just gotten recently bitch-slapped again by a federal judge for blocking access to the front of City Hall for people to protest the mayor. So I was like, okay, well now I got a restraining order lifted. I am a free citizen again. I'm going to go test this piece of shit and see if he's obeying the federal court order. Oh, a couple days earlier I had gone by there and asked them, I said, what's the rule now? And they said, well, you can stand here, but you can't stand there, like 2 inches over. I mean, it was retarded. There was like 2 flagpoles. They said, the rule is you can't protest behind this point right here, these flagpoles. Completely arbitrary, completely illegal, completely moronic. And I said, okay, that's pretty stupid. So, and that's not legal. So I went, I asked a friend, Kevin Keating, filmmaker, who did that big, not-so-great documentary, It's Giuliani Time. He had enough footage to put Giuliani in jail over and over again, but he decided to do what most liberals do. Why don't you play it nice? Yeah, tone it down. Make it really a good group hug, smiley face kind of project here. You don't want to hurt the mayor's feelings. I mean, he's a mass murdering, psychopathic criminal. Why don't you focus on how he was kind of rude to the black people? Yeah, no. Watch the documentary. It's fucking toothless. And he has so much footage. I know because I worked for him for 5 years doing research and stuff. We could have done a video. We could have done a film that was just Giuliani on video saying one thing and then Giuliani on video saying the opposite. So much footage we had of Giuliani just changing his story on every single issue and contradicting himself on every single issue. So I asked Kevin to come with his video camera because I had a hunch I'd be arrested. And I made a little sign, well, size of an album cover, maybe a little bigger, that said, tear down the wall, Mr. Khrushchev, I mean Mr. Giuliani. Making the analogy of Giuliani as a commie dictator, which he wouldn't like. Because he claims to hate socialism while he gives billions of tax dollars to private corporations. That is communism, you dick. Right? Let the free marketplace. Let them handle themselves. Why do you need taxes? Why do they need tax breaks? What happened to the free marketplace? These guys are going to win based on how good they run a business, not on how many tax dollars we give them to fucking bolster their fucking lame companies. Come on, assholes. So I went up, opened my sign. Nothing. The guards didn't touch me. Now, they already knew who I was. I'm famous around City Hall. They got my picture in the basement, in the security room, la-di-da-di-la. Anywhere I go where the mayor is, they come up to me immediately and say, hey, Christopher, what are you doing here? If I walk by City Hall, sometimes they come out to follow me and say, hey, Christopher, what are you doing here? So anyhow, dear diary, this is funny too. I wore a suit. And I drew, actually that's right, I took eyebrow pencil and I drew a fake beard on my face. Now you let the stubble grow for like 4 or 5 days. And then when you use eyebrow pencil, it has that 3-dimensionality because of all the stubble. So it looks kind of real. And I went and held up my sign, tear down the wall, and then I flipped it over. It said something really nasty about Rudy Giuliani, the emperor at the time. They didn't touch me. Then I went onto the stairs, which I was told I couldn't legally do, and I opened up my sign again, and they didn't do anything. I'm pretty sure that's what happened, because it took me then going to the door of City Hall. At the top of the stairs, there's wide door, and the first detective, intelligence division goon, blocks me, and he says, what are you doing here? No, he says, what can we do for you? I said, hi, I'm a taxpayer, and I own this building, and I own this plaza. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Oh, he said, show me the lease. I said, this is public property. It's called City Hall, and I kind of wanted to go in and just take a look at the lobby and stuff. Now, I knew there was a public event upstairs, so I could have gone to the public event, but I was taking baby steps, step by step, to see if this detective would obey the law. he said, no, yeah, you're not allowed in the building. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, civilians aren't allowed. Civilians are not allowed in their own building. Could you please explain that? I said, I can tell you the laws that I'm obeying. You tell me the laws that you're enforcing. And he's like, no, you just can't. He was being a real dickhead to me, obviously. He knew who I was. And then I kept protesting and protesting. I made a scene like, hey, to the camera. It's like, hey, I'm not allowed in my own building. And you could see that every other civilian was allowed straight in. Only one person was blocked or even held up at the door, me. Now, that's a violation of federal law, obviously. Equal protection, blah, blah, blah. But then his partner, his much older and seasoned partner, what was his name? Fuck. He came, and he's like, so what's up? And I said, well, I want to go in and see City Hall, the foyer. You know, there's art, there's like famous paintings on the wall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a historical site as well as a place of business of my elected representatives who are my employees and my public servants. And so now wait, it's going to get exciting. So don't tune out yet. It's going to get they're going to rough me up. That's right. I got my shit fucked up by the NYPD. Actually, the intelligence division is Giuliani's personal Gestapo, the mayor's personal Gestapo. That's their job, is to completely be the Gestapo. And I have a long history of those crooks, dealing with those criminals. So the second guy, though, the older gray-haired, experienced guy, he says to me at one point, oh, I actually mentioned, remember, I mentioned to the first guy, his name was like Silvio or something, he had some super Italian name, like 30-year-old guy, glasses, a little bit of a goomba. I finally then drop on him. I said, he's like, you can't come in here unless you're here for something specific, a specific event, you're invited by somebody, or if there was a public event. I said, well, there just happens to be a public event on the second floor, award ceremony, and I'm a taxpayer, and I'd like to go see it. It's a public event. He's like, no, you can't. Yeah, make up some new whatever shit he can make up. Then his cohort comes over and says, what's up? I'm like, hey, I want to go in and fucking say something. And then he says, to my surprise, the experienced older one, he says, do you want like a city council schedule? I said, I'd love to see a city council schedule. And he says, all right, well, you can come in, but you got to go down that hallway and you're going to go downstairs to the city council office. Now, once he lets me in the building. Okay, all that drama for nothing. And then he lets me in the building. Now, first, I forget the exact sequence because this is quite some time ago, but right there, when you take a right in the foyer of City Hall, is room 9, which everybody who knows government knows. Room 9 is a tiny office that holds about like 8 City Hall reporters. Do you understand? The Daily News, New York Times, New York Post, all of them have writers who work out of that office. So they're in City Hall at all hours, or all business hours. And the mayor's section is on the other side of the lobby. And room 9 is right there. So the door's open. So I walk in. I say, hey, can I get some help here, people? They're not allowing me to go up to a public hearing. Now, I'm guessing that Giuliani was presiding over that public award ceremony because that's what he does. Almost everything executives do is ceremonial. They don't do any work. It's all ceremonial. They're fucking mascots. And there was no way in hell they're going to let me in the same room as Rudy Giuliani. I was not a threat. I'd been cleared by shrinks, etc., etc., etc. But they knew I would humiliate that motherfucking piece of shit no matter what the situation. Because I was known as his number one critic. And I ridiculed that asshole repeatedly. And you can see what happened since then. May 2004, at the 9/11 Commission hearing where they were interviewing Giuliani, I fucking humiliated him in front of 900 million people. Not bad. Took me 5 minutes of work. And now it's part of like those 9/11 DVDs and stuff. So he's going to be beaten down in perpetuity. Okay, so where were we? This story is longer than it should be. It's not that interesting, I guess, but I go and I say, hey, can I get some help out here? The police officers are violating, though they were in suits. They were detectives. I said, the cops out here are not allowing me to go upstairs in my own building to a public ceremony in my own building, And they all just kind of look at me and go, because, you can't find a reporter in America who cares about the First Amendment who cares about the Bill of Rights. You can't. I'm not joking. You can't. I've never found a reporter who cared about the First Amendment. If you can show me a reporter who cares about the First Amendment, please do, because I'll prove to you in seconds they're lying and they're hypocrites. None of them come out with me. Later, like a few days later, one of them, Frank Lombardi of the Daily News, he said, "Oh, I didn't realize it was you, Christopher." He said, "If I'd known it was you, yeah, I would have gone out and watched." But I made a huge scene in the lobby. I'm like, "Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching with your own eyes the Constitution die." There was, I think, a little group of school kids, too, on a tour. I said, "You are watching the Constitution die." I said, "Look here, look. These two detectives are blocking my access to a public stairway going upstairs to a public building that I partly own." Da-da-da-da-da. I showboated, made a big scene, tried to give a little civics course. And then I'm kind of debating what's my next move. It's like, I have a right to go up there, you fucking fuckers. And it really bothered me that they were violating the law in broad daylight in front of everyone. And so finally, I got around. I quickly they started following me wherever I walked. And so I just zipped around one of them and went up the stairs. Now, they, of course, chased me. And at the top of the stairs, three of them tackled me and roughed me up quite well. And the fun thing is, that was caught on surveillance tape. And I don't know where the video is right now, but I've shown it in public at clubs. It's a video surveillance camera that moves. And so you see it, and it's like every 3 frames. And it's really overexposed. It's kind of ghostly white. You understand? It looks like I'm in heaven. And I'm going up this big curved staircase. And you see me, so it's like I'm in slow motion, but it's staggered. So you see me going bump, then the next frame, then the next frame. It's like a it's like a slideshow. And you see me running up the stairs. Then you see the 3 of them coming after me. What the hell are you doing, kitty? Chill out. And then you see them, the camera pans, and you see them tackle me to the ground, and you see one of them puts his knee on my head, which he didn't need to do. And you see one of them who wrenches my arms up, and he makes a face looking up, like he's grimacing, like he's wreaking some. He's giving me a little pain job, and he did. And it was caught on camera. And that case is still, amazingly enough, on appeal. Holy shit. So I've never sued yet for this particular arrest, is what I'm trying to say. I will, and I will get money, but it could take many more years because my own lawyers have fucked me over. And legal aid and public defender system has fucked me over. And the government has fucked me over and violated my rights to due process, etc., etc., etc. So, now wait. So the 3 cops jump me, tag me. I make a huge scene. Again, I'm being attacked. Can someone help me? I'm being assaulted. Can I get some witnesses? Help? Whatever I said. Usual stuff like that. I believe in making a big scene. You want eyeballs upon your police department because power tends to corrupt. And then after they got me cuffed and I'm on the bench, they put me on a bench there in the hallway, and they weren't too rude to me because remember, I've been talking to these guys for the last 30 minutes or longer. And so they knew what I was doing. I wasn't some bad person trying to do something bad. I was making a point about the Constitution and Giuliani's hatred of it. And while I was sitting down, I said to them, "Hey, so what do you guys think of my beard?" And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Take a look at my beard." And they said, "What?" I said, "Look closer, you dummies." And they went, "Oh, shit, it's not real." I said, "I know, it's eyebrow pencil." It's not bad. You had a fucking fool. Cops love me. They really do. You can ask a lot of my arresting officers. Go ahead. Ask a lot of my arresting officers. Their names are right there in the file. And somebody should do a documentary someday and interview all the cops who've arrested me over the years. Some of them really hated me, but most of them loved me. They didn't love me at first, and then they learned to love me, just like you would learn to love me if you spent any time with me. I really am wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm then also the nicest person who ever lived. And they also think I'm very funny. Cops like that about me, too. And I seduce them very quickly because I turn them against their slave masters. I'm very persuasive. But anyhow, so then as we're talking, they're waiting for the DA's office. They call the DA's office. They're like, "All right, we're going to take him in, da-da-da-da-da." And the charge, burglary. The DA's office, DA Morgenthau, who's one of the biggest criminals in American history. All prosecutors are, but Morgenthau was especially bad. charged me with burglary. Isn't that fucking insane? So it's a felony charge. The point is, when you go, now I'm going to go to jail for 24 hours or whatever. When I finally get arraigned in front of a judge appointed by the mayor, which is illegal, that judge is going to decide whether to release me on my own recognizance or hit me with bail. Now, it helps. He's going to be less inclined to let me go on my own recognizance if I'm charged with a felony than a misdemeanor. So that's why they trump up the charges, because it means you're going to have to pay a shitload of money for bail, or you're going to sit in jail because you can't make your bail. It's completely illegal. It's completely disgusting. And who's going to do anything about it? Michael Moore? Who? Nobody gives a shit about your rights. Nobody gives a shit about civil liberties. Okay? Nobody gave a shit when the Nazis were violating everybody's rights. Everybody looked the other way. That's how humans roll. Oh, fuck. This is getting long. Real long. What can I tell you? Oh, shit. I should go into the trial. Fuck. Should I? I guess I will. I should really go through and finish the story about the trial. I was just going to talk about the arrest. And of course, they tortured me in jail for 24 hours or whatever, longer. I can't remember at this point whether I got hit with bail or not. I think I got hit with bail, because whenever the mayor's office wanted bail, even though they couldn't remotely legally ask for bail and hit me with bail, they did. Only once did a judge tell the truth. It was this black guy. I don't remember which arrest this was, but it was after a whole bunch. And the DA's like, Your Honor, Mr. Brodeur has a long series of arrests for harassment. It's like, okay, arrests, but you don't mention that I beat you assholes in court every time. So fuck you. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of arrests, and I got a whole bunch of fucking acquittals. And some of the times you drop the charges after newspapers wrote about you, fucking lying two-faced pieces of shit. But the DA, so the DA said, Mister, we'd like $3,000 bail, Mr. Brodeur, da, da, da. And the judge, I couldn't believe it. It was great to see a judge who was honest. He said, the problem doesn't appear to be that Mr. Brodeur won't come back to court. The problem appears to be, looking at his rap sheet, that he comes to court too often. And he says, bail denied. That might even been this arrest. I'm not sure, but it was somewhere around there. Okay, we're going to do a part 2, which is the trial, because I take all of my arrests to trial, and this one was fucking stupid, but they wasted a lot of your money. Suckers.